Ellie Krug with the Illegal Trans Woman, and now is the time for the big interview, and I'm thrilled to have Dylan Comney here with me. He is the founder of the Ottawa, that would be Ottawa, Illinois, Family Pride Festival, which is only about 4 years old. It began in 2022. He's also the president of the organization I want to talk about, an organization called the Humankind Initiative. He serves on both the 119th Congress Advisory Council with Lauren Underwood, as well as serving on the Illinois Commission on LGBTQ plus aging for Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker. He also happens to be a substitute teacher. You wear a lot of hats, Dylan. Welcome to the Illegal Trans Woman. I am thrilled to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited.
Well, you know, I heard about you through my contacts at WCPT in Chicago, where this show also airs. And they spoke very highly of you. And when I heard about and researched, you know, the Humankind Initiative in Ottawa, I just had to have you on the show. I mean, listeners, you have to understand, Ottawa is in rural, or as we would say in Minnesota, greater Illinois. It is a town of 15,000 people maybe? So this is not where you would think that there would be A, pride festival, and B, a queer-focused organization called the Humankind Initiative. So tell us, Dylan, how did the Pride Festival get started, but particularly, how did the nonprofit get started?
Well, I want to thank you for saying Ottawa, Illinois, first of all, because we get people who sign up to be vendors for the Pride Fest still to this day that think we're in Canada. So,
yeah. Okay.
But, you know, the more the merrier.
I've been to both.
Yeah. The Pride Festival itself started, I was inspired by a young man in Ottawa. His grandmother came to me. I was a manager at the independent bookstore at the time. And her grandson, who was 14, was transitioning, and she wanted to show support. They had a family group marching down downtown Ottawa sidewalk. There's probably about 10 of them in the family. We met up with them. I spoke to him, and I realized that coming from the suburbs of Chicago, and even having the trouble I did growing up, it was very evident what it was like in a rural area and the issues that they were. So I decided to request a couple parks, keep my fingers crossed and hope for the best. And that's how the Pride Festival started. So we had 4,500 people show up our first year out. Which in this area, you know, I always say it's a huge red area, but we have a big blue wave that goes through it.
Oh my God. That is, for a first-time Pride, to have 4,500 people show up, that is astronomical.
It was a humbling experience, to say the least, and it's been humbling every single year. This year, we capped over 22,000 people showed up.
Oh, my God. Dylan, you're warming my heart. How many vendors? How many booths?
We usually average about 100 vendors.
Oh, gosh.
We get a waiting list every year, and we may have actually outgrown downtown Ottawa, so I'm already planning what we may have to do for next year. But the reason the nonprofit started was because after that first year, people were coming out of the woodwork. It started growing every year because people said, I told my friend it was safe to come. You know, it was kind of like the feeler people came out that first year.
Right.
And then they would tell their friends it was okay in Ottawa. It was okay and it was safe, and it kept growing and growing. But in between each festival, people would reach out to me and say, where can I go that is safe to get a haircut? Where can I go where it's safe to see a doctor? And it's just so evident that it goes beyond a one-year Pride Fest. You know, resources are so necessary everywhere.
Right.
And so the Humankind Initiative kind of grew from that. And now we pretty much just provide anything that's necessary and try to keep surviving one day at a time.
Okay. Well, first of all, I mean, listeners, just Google the Humankind Initiative, Ottawa, Illinois, and you're going to see this fantastic website for this organization. You know, and you have this calendar on there, well, hold on. Before I get to the calendar, and before I get to all that you're doing, tell us, I mean, it is named after a woman or a man named William E. Heisler. Who was William Heisler, and why is the Humankind Initiative Center named after him?
We were able to obtain a property just last year, and I say just last year because I have to keep reminding myself that the property is a baby and that we're new, and that more and more people are coming out. But this property we were able to obtain at the last minute because of a very generous donation, a private loan from a gentleman that I had met a few years before. Just not even someone I knew and saw on a daily basis, but he came forward and basically provided us the opportunity to get this this property. We named it after his late husband.
Okay.
So he is a local farmer. This is someone who was proud. He's not necessarily out and open, but I asked him if it was okay given the public, and he said yes. His name was John Wilson. He actually passed away this past February.
Oh, I'm so sorry, but okay, go ahead.
But his name, he always told me when we started talking more afterwards, and he wanted to help design the signage and be a part of everything, that if something like Humankind Initiative and something like the community center existed when he was younger, it would have led him down a different, easier path, perhaps. So,
well, there's no doubt it would have been an easier path, and so, well, thank God for the generosity of Mr. Wilson, and of course, in honor of his late husband. And actually, I did read up on the obituary of the late husband, and so, all right. So you have a building. Do I have that right?
Correct.
Okay, and so you've got space in that building to do all kinds of programming, right?
Yes.
Okay, and from the calendar, all right, as I look at it, you're doing a whole lot of programming in Ottawa, Illinois. So lay it out for the listeners here. What the whole thing, the panoply of your center in small town Illinois, what are you doing?
Well, I mean, we do a mixture of ally workshops and support groups. Our biggest support group being the trans support group. It's not only active in person, but the Discord, which I recently learned how to use because I'm not a young whippersnapper anymore. And all these new technologies, I was like, okay, I'm on Discord now. But very active on Discord. So we provide the support groups and ally workshops. We were doing trivia for a while and karaoke. We've put a hold on that for just a little bit.
Okay.
But we're doing more and more pop-ups in the community because right now for the rest of the year, visibility is going to be the most important project we have.
Sure. I mean, you've got a kickball competition coming up. Do I have that right?
Yes, and we're hoping that a surge of people will sign up now in the remainder of what is August coming up here. That'll be on August 22nd. But we had 2 of the softball diamonds donated to us from the city to use in one of the big parks. So we are hopeful. It's our first one. But every time we throw a new program, it seems to go over pretty well. Our Friendsgiving, we're gonna do Friendsgiving again in November, and those are the kinds of things that we love to do. And our first year out at the center, we hosted just about 70 people that showed up that may not have had somewhere else to go. So
no,
we do a little bit of everything.
No, I mean, I don't know if you're still doing it, but your calendar said that you had an out loud open mic and karaoke night.
Yeah, the open mic night is fun. We get a good variety of poetry, of short stories, and we have someone who does fantastic original folk songs, and we are always glad when they show up. But we actually had a priest from the local Catholic hospital show up at this last one, so that was a fun surprise. I mean, he was very respectful. He asked some very good questions afterwards. And our hope is to always reach out to new people. And because if you don't ask questions and we don't educate, then we're just going to get stuck in a vicious cycle.
Right.
So I was surprised to see him, but he stayed the whole time, and then he stayed after and asked questions, and that's why we're there. So
well. Good job. I mean that so obviously you've created a welcoming environment for people, all people, in the work that you're doing. And of course, that's incredibly important, not only for LGBTQ plus family members, but also for the general public, because that helps lead to greater acceptance and and interaction. So, does the nonprofit have a board of directors?
Yes, we have a board of directors. We're not meeting as often as we hope right now, but we meet when needed. Like I said, we're still fresh, so we meet when we have stuff that we need to definitely discuss. But we're a federal registered 501c3, which means basically we survive on donations and we survive on hunting down grants. We're in the same position as so many other nonprofits out there.
All right. So let's plug that. If somebody wants to donate to the Humankind Initiative in Ottawa, Illinois, how could they do that? Listeners, perk up.
Well, we use Zeffy, which I will just say I love Zeffy because 100% of the donation goes to us. There are no fees or anything. So you can go to humankindinitiative.org, which is our website. There is a donate button on every single page in case you miss it. And you go browsing somewhere else, you'll see another donate button.
Okay.
So you could do that. You can reach out to us via Facebook. We are on Blue Sky. We're on Discord if you ask for a link. But basically, everything will lead you back to Zeffy.
Okay.
And the good thing about Zeffy also is it is tax-deductible donations, and you can set up the monthly recurring donations. There's tons of ways to give.
And somebody could write a check if they wanted to as well.
Yes, absolutely. If you go through Zeffy, there's information about donating with a check. You can donate with your check right through Zeffy. Otherwise, it gives you the address of which to mail the check.
Okay.
And if you do cash or check, you'll still get your tax deductible paperwork. So, but yeah, that's how we survive. And economically speaking, these days we know it's rough out there. But even if you share the link, it helps get the word out to others. And if you think about if everyone who came to Pride Fest this year, 22,000 plus people, donated $5 each, imagine the impact that would have.
Oh, for sure.
So donations are just they go a long way. There's operating expenses. There's people reach out almost, I will say daily. People reach out daily through Messenger and everything else, needing resources, needing housing questions answered, and crisis situations. And I'm not going to lie, it's pretty much me running the whole thing.
Well, that doesn't surprise me. I ran a small nonprofit. I did have an admin, thank goodness. But I know the headaches that you've got, and I know the money issue never goes away. I mean, it's always there. So tell me, I mean, you start this organization in Ottawa, where I've got to believe very few people thought that there were queer people. Any queer people, and what is it? Is it LaSalle County? Is that what it is?
It is LaSalle County.
Yes. And so very few people thought that. And now, of course, the 22,000 that you had at Pride this year, they weren't all queer, okay, but they were, a lot were, and then some were allies, and then just some people were probably curious kind of thing. How generally has the town reacted to this? How generally has the town accepted, the Humankind Initiative space, the building?
There's always going to be a couple of visibly
naysayers.
Yeah, we get a lot of keyboard warriors in our area. So I
Okay.
will say right before Pride Fest, when I start posting all the alerts, you just pop your popcorn and you get ready for it at this point.
Right. Right.
Because it seems to be the same slew of people saying the same, they're just
Yep.
regurgitating the same things over
People
and
with a
over again.
lot of time on their hands.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
I'm proud to say we've never had a protester at our Pride Fest.
Wow. That's great.
There is one gentleman who shows up with a sign, but he's out year round, so we count him as an attendee. And I have told him this.
Okay.
So I always, when I see him, I thank him for coming. But people are always going to push back because they don't understand. There's the people who think that this is a city-funded event, so how dare their tax dollars go to drag that's
Right.
killing children. Like, I wish this was a city-funded event.
Yeah.
But for the most part, and especially this past year, when it has just been, the permission has been given to fly your hate flag high and spew whatever you want. And it's become so outwardly dangerous, especially for trans people. There has been almost an outpouring of extra support in this area. And again, as someone who comes from the suburbs, someone who never in a million years thought that I would move to a rural area,
Right.
it is so heartwarming. It is to the point where I'm running again for city council at the end of the year because I want to be an out trans representative in Ottawa. And I might not get elected, but I'm going to put myself out there because I know there are people that support what we're doing, and we keep getting invited to things that are kids' wellness fairs. And these are signs that people in LaSalle County are supportive.
Well, tell me about how many people are coming either physically to your trans support group or through Discord or, have created this community on Discord. How many people are we talking about?
Well, we're still relatively new, so our Discord has still, I believe, it's less than 100 people, but we're a private link.
Sure.
So you have to ask for the link. When people find out we have a Discord, people have been joining more often. The trans support group started off relatively small. It was supposed to be once a month.
Right.
Instantly, we all agreed that twice a month seemed better.
Okay.
And even within the past month and a half or so, we've had 3 or 4 new people coming. We have someone who has perfect attendance since last year.
Okay.
So I want to give Erica mad props. Because even I don't have perfect attendance. But I'd say in person, we've had up to a dozen, which for this area,
that's a lot.
Is incredible.
Yeah, it is.
There's a nearby church that hosts a trans group on Saturdays.
No,
that is not affiliated with us.
No,
and so
Ottawa.
I've told the group, I've told my support group, make sure if you're interested and you want more than the Wednesdays, there's one on Saturday. Some of them are a little leery about it being at a church, but
they're doing it at a church. My God, come on.
Yeah. I mean, the church has a gay pastor. I was like, you guys, it's good. You're good. But there's that whole stigma just around being in a church. But that again is another program that I'm hoping to host. Is we have a Buddhist organization in the area. I want to get that Catholic priest to come back and a group of pastors and spiritual leaders to get together and discuss the importance of religion and spirituality in so many queer people's lives and have it open to the community, because stop using it as a weapon. Stop, stop weaponizing religion and spirituality. So the amount of trans people in LaSalle County is unreal.
Yeah, I mean, I just lost you there for a quick second. I mean, even just you getting a dozen people to come to, a support group meeting is just, mind-boggling for me. But it also shows, all right, that there are far more trans and gender variant people than anybody, expects. Okay? And that's because it's all part about the human condition, about how humans are wired in tremendously different ways. And it's wiring. It's not like watching RuPaul's drag show and you decide that you want to dress up. Okay? It's just not the way
Yeah.
that works. So, all right. So, we've got like a minute and a half here left, and I want to compliment you. Okay? And I mean, you obviously, Dylan, you are a pioneer. You're doing incredibly important work. And I know that it is not easy. And it's one of the reasons I want to have you on this show because, I've got listeners from across the world, and I want them to know about you and about the incredibly important work that you're doing with the Humankind Initiative in Ottawa, Illinois. So I'm grateful, particularly as it relates to helping trans people be visible and find a home and find some safety and security.
I appreciate that, and I'm horrible at taking compliments. So, if anyone's watching a video eventually, that would be the look you saw on my face. But I do really appreciate that. It's become just a labor of love, obviously, and I mean, I am trans, so it affects me directly. But it's all about life should be about a legacy. If you're not doing something in your life that you can leave behind and say you're proud of and that you impacted people in a positive way, then you're not doing it correctly. And it's not always easy, but that should be how we all are leading our lives. So that's just my goal.
Well,
Just keep on trucking.
No, listen, I think you're fulfilling that goal, and I applaud you, okay? And if there's any way that I can help, you let me know, okay?
I will do that. Thank you so much. It's been an honor.
Okay. All right. Well, listeners, we've been speaking to Dylan Comney, who is the executive director of the Humankind Initiative in Ottawa, Illinois. Please go check them out. Please consider sending them a donation. All right. We're going to take a break. When we come back, I've got news bites and random acts to talk to you. You're listening to me, Ellie Krug, the illegal trans woman, on AM 950 in the Twin Cities and WCPT 820 in Chicago. We will be back in a second. Humans! Welcome back to The Legal Trans Woman, where we advocate for trans and gender expansive, gender variant people from across the world. And if possible, we work to bridge the divide with those who fear or misunderstand us. For this week's show, the big interview is with Dylan Comney, who is the executive director of the Humankind Initiative in Ottawa, Illinois. You're going to just love hearing about what's going on in Ottawa and about how there are a lot of trans people in Ottawa, Illinois, believe it or not. And then, of course, we have, as always, news bites and random acts. But for now, as we always do, let's begin with this week's big story. And it involves the WNBA, Women's National Basketball Association, and the subject of female trans athletes, okay? Because obviously, okay? To begin, to my knowledge, there are no female trans athletes playing in the WNBA, given that the NCAA has banned female trans athletes from college basketball, as well as from every other sport. In compliance with the Trump administration's anti-trans edicts, it would be quite impossible for a female trans basketball player to join a WNBA team. And until 2 weeks ago, the general perception of the WNBA was that it was not only gay-friendly, lesbian-friendly, but that it was also very trans-friendly. Unfortunately, all of that changed a couple of weeks ago. When Indiana Fever star Sophie Cunningham stated publicly that while she didn't hate trans people, She also didn't feel that trans girls should play on female teams. Here's what she told ESPN a couple of weeks ago. Quote, "I think that I am here to extend love, but I also think that with love is truth, being honest, and I want to protect young girls in a locker room or young girls in sport who shouldn't have to go against biological men." She then later added, quote, "I said what I said. I think it's kind of common sense," unquote. That is what she said. All right. And that, of course, the anti-trans, the MAGA movement all latched on to what Sophie Cunningham had to say. And those remarks created a major controversy for WNBA players and trans-allied fans. But it gets worse than that, actually, because earlier this week, Sophie Cunningham's Indiana Fever team was playing the Seattle Storm in Seattle. And before the game, outside the arena, there were pro and anti-trans protesters. Inside the arena, directly at courtside, where you could see them on TV, bold and plain, as reported by Jack Baer and Cassandra Negley of Yahoo Sports, inside the arena sat two young female women. They're probably in their early 20s. They were two Sophie Cunningham supporters. They each had big signs. One sign read, quote, "We love you, Sophie," unquote. Well, we know why she loved Sophie. And the other said, quote, "Thank you, Sophie, for speaking up for girls." Okay, now, that prompted a minority owner of the Storm, Celeste Keaton, to confront the young women. And that resulted in Keaton telling the women they were, quote, "effing insane." As a result of that comment, the WNBA fired Keaton. Excuse me, they did not fire. The WNBA fined Keaton an undisclosed amount of money. I don't know how much the fine was, but they also suspended her from attending 5 games. The Storm later released a statement from Storm majority owner Ginny Gilder. That statement read in part, quote, "We apologize that this happened. Everyone who attends a Storm game deserves to feel welcome, and we remain committed to creating an inclusive environment where every fan is treated with respect." Apparently, though, unquote, inclusive environment means making the Storm arena welcoming to transphobic fans. Apparently, okay, and that doesn't do anything for trans people. Trust me. But dear listeners, take heart that allies do abound within the WNBA. When the Storm Fever game began, Storm center Stephanie Dolson entered the arena wearing a shirt that read, quote, "Trans rights are human rights." More importantly, 2 weeks ago, after this thing with Sophie Cunningham started, Minnesota Lynx coach Cheryl Reeve, the great Cheryl Reeve, didn't hesitate to support trans people. Here's what she said to a reporter. Now you're going to hear basketball, being bounced in the background. But hold on, this clip that goes for almost 2 minutes. Listen to it because you're going to hear what it means to support transgender humans.
Made a ruling that states can uphold bans on keeping trans players out.
Yeah.
Can you talk about what that means, like as a leader in women's sports?
Yeah.
Did that weigh on you? What's your fears for the future of women's sports?
Yeah, of course it weighs on me. The attack that trans people, the attacks that they've gone through for the last, the current administration for sure, it seems like it's gotten really way more aggressive. It's sort of sickening when you think about the issues that they're trying to tackle that there's really not issues. The number of transgender athletes that they're making now laws for and creating a problem to get elected. And so for, to give them credit that they found something that resonated with their group. What I'm hopeful for is that people have gotten themselves more educated and they understand that that's actually not a problem. That's not an issue. And together, I think that where you do have maybe some challenges with regard to biological perceived strengths, there are guardrails in place in anything that we do. And there's no reason why we couldn't get together and do that, because exclusion is never the answer. Separate isn't equal. And trans lives matter. And so to take away something so valuable that sports brings to young people in particular, and what it does, as I have a youngster, and encourage them to be a part of a team and what it gives you in the way of, whether it's teamwork, leadership, competitive, all the things, they have every right to that as well.
Wow. Attacks are sickening. Attacks on the transgender community are sickening. They create a problem that politicians are doing just to get elected. Separate isn't equal. Exclusion is never the answer. And trans lives matter. That, listeners, from Cheryl Reeve, who is probably the most respected coach in the WNBA. Of course, she's in Minnesota. Of course, we know how, Minnesota's a great state for trans people. We have our issues, but compared to the rest of the country. But what you just heard from a woman, from an ally, was incredible bravery. All right, because we're seeing with this Sophie Cunningham thing, we're seeing how, the whole bandwagon jumps on, gets in behind her to go after trans people. And for a coach in the WNBA to say that trans people, trans women, essentially should be able to play in the WNBA, okay? I mean, unbelievable. Unbelievable. And that's what we need. That's what our community needs. We are desperate for that kind of allyship, that kind of leadership. First there was Riley Gaines, who's out there making six figures, going out railing against transgender people. Remember, Riley Gaines came in 5th after Leah Thomas, the University of Pennsylvania swim meet, and but she complained, and she's made this. Actually, I think they were both tied for 5th place. So Leah Thomas and Riley Gaines, but regardless, okay. Riley Gaines is making a big name for herself out there going after trans athletes. Now we have Sophie Cunningham learning that maybe that's the way for her to go. Maybe she's going to have a career making some extra money going after trans athletes. For as long, though, as we have allies that are speaking up, like Cheryl Reeve, like the Storm player who wears the shirt that says, trans rights are human rights. For as long as we have people speaking up for us, I think that we're going to be okay. It's when there's total silence, which, of course, now we're seeing a lot of that in the Democratic Party with Democratic, people running for office right now. Total silence. But, so, pay attention to this. I will. We'll see what else Sophie Cunningham comes up with. We'll see what else happens in the WNBA. But go Lynx. That's all I can say. Go Lynx. And thank you, Cheryl Reeve, for saying the truth about transgender people and trans female athletes. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, the big interview with Dylan Comney. You're going to just love hearing from Dylan. You're listening to me, Ellie Krug, on The Illegal Trans Woman. If you like what you hear, visit my website, elliekrug.com. Email me at lejkrug at gmail, because I love hearing from listeners. We'll be back in a sec. And we're back. Ellie Krug with the illegal trans woman. News bites. I've got 3 news bites. We'll see if we can get all 3 of them in. News bite number 1. A week ago, the largest rally ever held in support of trans people occurred in London. 150,000 people marched in support of transgender rights. And if you're hearing this from me for the first time, you didn't know anything about this largest ever in history rally for trans people, the reason you didn't hear is that not one of the mainstream media carried a story about that rally. Not one of them. And that just tells you how scared to death mainstream media is about carrying anything that would be positive for the transgender community. That was news bite number 1. News bite number 2. Several weeks ago, I gave you a story about how J.K. Rowling was going after Amnesty International UK because it had the audacity to name like 100 groups that were essentially anti-trans in the UK. J.K. Rowling came after them because one of the spots was this shelter in Scotland called Beera's Place that J.K. Rowling helped fund and create. So Rowling went after Amnesty International, demanded that they apologize for creating that list and listing her place on that list. And guess what? This week, Amnesty International issued an apology saying we should never have created that list, never have made it public, et cetera, et cetera. They totally caved to a billionaire bully. Item number 3 is about school boards. And this comes from reporting in the Minnesota Star Tribune by Kim Hyatt. There is a school district in west central Minnesota. Again, we're talking, just rural greater Minnesota, called the Detroit Lake School District. It has 2,700 to 2,800 students. It has a school board of 6 members. And this week, those 6 members, after having just weeks ago promised to have no surprises at school board meetings, at this school board meeting, one of those members introduced a motion out of the blue. Okay, this was not on the agenda. It was added to the agenda at the meeting, which I've got to just tell you is extraordinary. Usually does not happen that way. And the motion was this, quote, get a load of this English, okay? Quote, I motion the board directs, okay, that's a quote. I mean, that's real language. Superintendent Jensen to supervise staff in the immediate removal of all non-school materials not funded, sponsored, or authorized by the school district. This includes, but is not limited to, any, quote, rainbow stickers, posters, flags, buttons, etc., displayed in Detroit Lakes public school facilities, unquote. That was the motion, okay? And apparently, because it was not on the agenda, nobody knew that this motion was going to be made. No one knew it. I mean, so the superintendent was taken by surprise. There was nobody at the school board meeting because they didn't know that they needed to show up. So nobody was there to give any kind of public comment in opposition to that motion. And after apparently about an hour, the motion was voted on, and the 4 conservative board members carried it. They had 4-2 carried that motion to ban the pride flag, to ban all things that have rainbows. Okay, and the thing is, the meeting wasn't recorded. Remember, I talked about that a couple weeks ago about me pressing for recording. It wasn't recorded. We don't know what people said, but the motion carried. Pride flags. Why is this such a problem? All right, I got to go. I got 3 things in, though, for you. We're going to take a break, come back for Random Acts. And we're back. Ellie Krug, the illegal trans woman. Let's get it out there, Ellie. Random acts. Okay, random act number 1. Speaking of school boards, okay, I'm running for re-election in my school district, the Eastern Carver County Schools. The final count is in for candidates. There are 9 candidates for 4 seats. All 4 of the current incumbents are running again. There was some question about whether 2 out of the 4 would run, but all 4 are running. And that leaves 5 people who have to, somebody's got to unseat an incumbent in order to, get on the board. Out of those 5, a couple are conservative. I think some are conservative and some are progressive. We will see what happens. What will be very interesting is that there's going to be a candidate forum in October where all the candidates, including yours truly, will have to speak and opine on various subjects posed by the League of Women Voters. Stay tuned. Random act number 2, a Substack blog of mine. The blog is titled Being Ellen. All you have to do is Google Substack, Ellie Krug. That's all you have to do. You'll come up with my latest blog, which is about my 5,000-mile road trip that is going to take place a week from tomorrow. And that's when I'm going to start out, a 15-day trip. I'm titling it The Good Hearts Road Trip. And so please go to Substack and read about what I say about that road trip, because I am totally psyched that that road trip is going to happen. I'm going to be speaking in Idaho Falls, in Boise, and in Sonoma, California. This week I did 2 interviews, 1 radio interview and 1 social media interview for the talk in Sonoma. I heard from Boise, from the Wasmus Center this week. Just on Thursday, I heard from them, and they told me that they had 19 people so far, more than 2 weeks out, signed up for Gray Area Thinking in the morning, and 34 people signed up for an evening talk titled Gleaning Authenticity from a Moment of Truth. So this is Boise. This is great. And you'll see, if you go to the Substack blog, you'll see why I'm taking this trip. Item number 3, someone bought 31 copies of my book, Getting to Ellen, a memoir about love, honesty, and gender change. I almost fell off my chair because I can go on Amazon in the back door of Amazon, and I can see how many copies of my book I've sold and, and what quantities and all that type of stuff. Somebody purchased 31 copies, which is wonderful considering that book was published in February of 2013 and it continues to sell like that. Oh, yeah. All right, I got to go. Big thanks to my producer, Patrick, doing great again today. And to you, my listeners, between now and when you hear my voice next, go out and do something good for someone else as well as for yourself. Ellie Krug, over and out.